Hello and welcome to the Homebrewery. I am Gary and Reaver. In this series I talk about homebrewed content for Dungeons & Dragons, mostly that I've written, evaluating, explaining and demonstrating it. Today I'm looking at my Venom Bearer Ranger subclass for 5e. I'm also joined by my assistant Goliath, who is modelling the Venom Bearer. If you haven't yet seen my Poison Overhaul video, I recommend checking that out. A lot of the core mechanics of the Venom Bearer are related to the changes I made to physical poisons in that overhaul. See, I thought it was a shame that physical poisons and poison damage are sort of niche and sidelined. This is a combination of lack of availability, ease of resistance, lack of versatility. These are the things that the Venom Bearer exists to counteract. It does this by focusing entirely on the creation and use of physical poisons. The full write-up of this subclass is linked as a Google Doc in the description. Feel free to read it in its entirety, but I will be going through the major points in this video. This one's a bit front-loaded, so let's crack on so we can get to Goliath demonstrating it. To put it simply, the core of this subclass is poison crafting. The theme of the Venom Bearer is someone who creates poisons from natural ingredients. They essentially do this for free within certain restrictions, and serve sort of as a jack-of-all-trades of poisons. Some of my other subclasses specialise, but the Venom Bearer has the widest choice. To start off with, Venom Bearers gain proficiency with the Poisoner's Kit and Herbalism Kit. These are the tools they'll use to turn natural ingredients into deadly weapons. And I'll quickly mention it here, they also get the Venom Collector feature at 3rd level. This gives them advantage on any skill checks to harvest natural poisons from creatures and plants. There is a comprehensive list of natural poisons on my poison list, also linked in the description. They also immediately gain 3 poison recipes. These are selected from a separate special list, linked in the description, which are poisons taken from my comprehensive list. To balance the number and strength of poisons they get, I've put in a few different qualifiers and quantifiers, the first of which is poison points. A Venom Bearer, I'll just call it VB for short, a VB gets poison points equal to their wisdom modifier plus proficiency bonus. They then spend these to craft poisons during short or long rests. As wisdom is a ranger's spellcasting ability, I don't think it's unreasonable to tie in. At time of writing, there are 76 poisons from which the VB can pick their recipes. This seems like a lot, but they can't actually make anywhere near that many, not yet. Let's take a quick look at the recipe list. All of these poisons are taken from my comprehensive poison list, but they're presented differently here. Here are 3 examples: Kinetosis, Belladonna, and Serpent Venom. There's a lot of information, but it breaks down quite simply. Each poison recipe has a name, a rarity, a type, a category, a value, a description, and effects. The name is what it's called. The rarity is how difficult the poison is to learn and make, more on that later. The type and category are how it's used and where it comes from. These are fully explained in my Poison Overhaul video. The value is the recommended gold cost of a single dose, and also serves as a limiting mechanic on which poisons can be crafted at what level. And the description and effects are what you would expect. You'll notice that Serpent Venom also has the synthetic property, and Belladonna has a class requirement. Synthetics are artificial versions of natural poisons. They allow VBs to approximate the effects of creature venoms. This fills in some of the gaps in the poison list, and I like the idea of a VB learning from poisonous creatures they encounter. Class requirements are exactly what you think. Of all my poison subclasses, only the VB has the knowledge to weaponize Belladonna. For his 3 initial recipes, Goliath has picked Snakebite, Wibbleknees, and Assassin's Aid. This gives him a damage booster poison and a couple of options for enemy control. But now he has the recipes, what does he do with them? This is where the poison points come in. Using the standard array, Goliath has a whiz mod of 3 and a prof bonus of 2. This gives him a total of 5 poison points. As you can see on this table, the poison point cost of a particular recipe is determined by its rarity. As all 3 of his initial recipes are common, he can make any of them for 1 poison point each. By having a Poisoner's Kit or a Herbalism Kit on his person throughout a short or long rest, he can make as many doses of recipes he knows as he likes. But there is one more restriction: poison value. The gold value of the recipe cannot be more than 50 times your ranger level. This stops someone just going for the strongest recipe in the game. And would you look at that, Goliath picked a recipe he cannot actually craft. Assassin's Aid has a value of 204 GP, which is more than the 150 GP limit that Goliath has at 3rd level. There's nothing stopping you from picking recipes you can't actually make, in the same way that wizards can learn spells they can't cast yet. Sometimes it can be useful to prepare for the future. Just make sure you double check the value if it's something you'll want to use right now. Anyway, Goliath has decided to make 3 doses of Snakebite and 2 of Wibble Knees. Before we see them in action, you need to know that crafting a recipe gives you a single dose. Once it's used, it's gone. And if you don't use it by the end of your next short or long rest, it's gone anyway as the compounds break down. You can use them yourself, you can give them to someone else. Technically they can be sold, but to avoid destroying the world's economy, virtually anyone can see how short-lived they are. This is not a money farm. With that stated, we'll go to Goliath in the field. Oh, it looks like he's having a bit of trouble. It appears he is under attack by a giant badger of all things. That's okay, he doesn't look worried. With his longbow equipped, he's using a dose of Snakebite to coat an arrow. As an injury poison, it needs to be applied to a slashing or piercing weapon. And did I mention that a VB can apply a poison to a weapon as a bonus action? Normally it'd take an action, but this way it doesn't make them miss their attack. Goliath takes the shot and hits. He rolls the damage for the arrow, and the badger must save against the poison. For Snakebite, that's a DC 10 con save. In this instance it passes, meaning it takes only half damage from the poison. Oops, looks like there's a second one. It attacks but doesn't hit. Back to Goliath's turn, he doesn't seem to like having one next to him. He's decided to get away, but he wants to stop it from following him. He's going to use Wibble Knees. As an inhaled poison, he can use his action to throw it at an adjacent enemy. Using up a dose, it fills a 5-foot cube, and the giant badger rolls a con save with a DC of 18. Unsurprisingly, it fails and falls prone. Goliath makes his getaway, and it has disadvantage on its opportunity attacks. There are 2 ways to learn additional poison recipes. First of all, you learn 2 recipes for free every time you gain a ranger level. Remember, these can be any for which you fill the class requirements, regardless of value, and of the 76 recipes available to the VB, they get a total of 37 for free, including the initial 3. Going back to that wizard comparison, the second way is like learning a spell from a scroll. You can learn from a dose of poison. If you have a dose of a toxin, mixture, or venom poison that appears on the recipe list, note that plants are the only kind you can't learn from a dose, then you can learn how to make that artificial poison, or a synthetic version, of that natural poison. You need the poisoner's kit, herbalism kit won't cut it, time, and gold. This mechanic is based heavily on a wizard copying a spell. It costs more and takes longer for higher rarity poisons, as seen on that table from earlier. The cost represents ingredients and possibly equipment wasted trying to replicate it. Goliath has got hold of a dose of shale vine extract and would like to learn it. It's a toxin, so that's okay, and he's got the 100 gold and the 2 hours he needs for a common recipe. To try and learn it, he rolls a wisdom check using the poisoner's kit, meaning he has proficiency, and must beat the wisdom DC determined by its rarity. In this case, 12. He got a 14, and therefore adds shale vine extract to his known recipes. Remember, you pay the gold whether you succeed or fail, and either way, the dose is used up. You also can't learn from a temporary dose, so VBs, or my other subclasses, can't teach each other. Sometime later, Goliath has reached 7th level. This is when he gets the next archetype feature, Foolproof Poisons. All of the free recipes from leveling up gave Goliath a total of 11, plus the one he learned earlier. He also increased his wisdom at 4th level, which, combined with his increased prof bonus, gives him a total of 7 poison points. Now things are getting a bit micromanagey due to the variety of poisons, which I think is necessary to avoid it being niche. That said, he only has 7 points to work with per short rest, and hopefully knows which recipes he will and won't find useful in that time. It can be daunting with all the options, but once you have your known recipes, it's just like preparing spells for the day. It sort of puts this subclass somewhere between a druid and an artificer. For his 7th level free recipes, Goliath has picked Truth Serum and Giant Scorpion Venom. Here he's taking advantage of the first trait of Foolproof Poisons. He can now craft poisons up to 75 times his ranger level, up from 50 times. With a maximum value of 525 GP, that has massively increased his range. So let's see him in action. We join Goliath against a clay golem and a bearded devil. Where did he find these? wherever he is, he's in trouble. Both of these monsters are immune to poison, and the only damaging poisons he has crafted are ones that deal poison damage. Luckily, he's just reached 7th level, and the second trait of foolproof poisons means poison damage from his crafted poisons counts as acid damage for purposes of circumventing resistance and immunity to poison. Bit of a mouthful, but the idea is that his poisons are sort of acidic, but not enough to deal acid damage on their own, just enough to get around resistance and immunity. Something like this is essential to make poison viable, given how common poison immunity is, but it's not absolute. The bearded devil is immune to poison, but the clay golem is immune to poison and acid. No matter how well he brews it, Goliath's poisons still won't affect the golem. Knowing this, he doses an arrow with giant scorpion venom and shoots at the devil. He barely lands the hit, but along with damage, the bearded devil needs to roll a con save to resist the poison. Enter the third and final trait of foolproof poisons. Add half your proficiency bonus, rounding up, to the resist DC of any poisons you craft. This allows even early game poisons to stay somewhat competitive throughout. Normally, giant scorpion venom has a DC of 12, increased by 2 to 14. Frankly, whether or not the devil passes it, Goliath is going to have to run for his life, but you get the picture. Looks like he survived, because Goliath has just reached 11th level. This unlocks the next feature, potency techniques. By 11th level, he's had 19 free poison recipes, plus any he's learned from doses along the way, and again increased his wisdom, this time to 20. That plus his prof bonus gives him 9 poison points. By now, rare poisons are looking very tempting, and VBs have to consider, do you go with lots of common poisons or only a few rare ones? Probably a combination. I'm honestly unsure if crafting new poisons on a short rest is balanced or not. My other physical poison subclasses make them on long rests only, but they also have additional things going on. To be the jack of all trades of poisons, I feel VB needs that flexibility. It allows them to have numerous poisons in a day without having them all at once. In a way, they're also a bit like a warlock. There's the potential for them to carry only a couple of very dangerous poisons per short rest. Anyway, at 11th level, the maximum value multiplier increases again, up from 75 times to 100 times ranger level, but the fun is in the damage. This time we find Goliath facing a sea hag. It's a shame they broke up. He has experience resisting her horrific appearance, and appears to be dosing a short sword with black blood. One of his free recipes at 10th level. He takes a swing and misses. Let's just say it hits for the purposes of the demonstration. He rolls for damage, she rolls to resist. As his prof bonus is 4, he still only gets a +2 to the resist DC, giving it a total of DC 18. The cool thing is Black Blood still deals half damage on a successful save, and Potency Techniques increases the damage. What it does is increases the number of damage dice rolled by 50%. It rounds down, but to a minimum of 1 extra. As Black Blood, by default, deals 66 necrotic damage, Goliath instead rolls 96. This is very useful for poisons that roll lots of dice, such as Bloodseed, but effectively doubles the possible damage of early poisons that only roll 1. Let's just leave them to work this out and we'll skip ahead to 15th. It's been a long road, but Goliath has finally reached 15th level. His skill with poisons cannot be surpassed, and he gets the final feature of the archetype, Poison Master. He's had a total of 27 free recipes, and as he hasn't increased his wisdom beyond 20, his mod and his proficiency bonus give him 10 poison points. That's enough for 3 very rare poisons per short rest, plus 1 common. Suitably, there is no maximum value to the poisons he can craft, and his creations get their last buff. It's not something that can really be demonstrated, as it is a duration increase. If the effect of a poison he crafts has a fixed numerical duration, that duration is doubled. Likewise, if it rolls dice to determine duration, he doubles the number of dice he rolls. For example, Aconite, along with the other effects, poisons the victim for 8 hours. With Poison Master, that increases to 16 hours. Overall, Venom Bearers have their resist DCs increased, their damage, their duration, the number and variety of poisons they can craft scales with level, and the choice available means they are very versatile. And that is everything for the Venom Bearer Ranger subclass. I hope you like what you've seen. Please feel free to try this out yourself in a game. I'll really want to know how it goes. If you repost any of this, please make sure you link back here, and if you have any feedback, I'm open to it as long as you're polite. I'm sure that with your help, I can improve this subclass. Thank you very much for watching the Homebrewery, thank you to my assistant Goliath, and make sure you subscribe to Gary and Tabletop for more D&D content. I will catch you later.